Anyone who knows me will tell you that I'm not often at a loss for words, but I was exactly that last fall at this show in DeLand, Florida, when a pilot approached me with this question: when is Icon going to stop killing people? The sales rep from an airplane company standing nearby couldn't contain his laughter at my shocked look. Where does a question like that even come from? 2 fatal accidents in 3 years and the Icon is a killer? Well, one place it comes from is the accident we'll review in this video. It was the second fatal crash of an Icon A5 since the model appeared about a decade ago. After an unusually long investigation that's not quite done yet, the NTSB just released the docket, but it gave no probable cause for the accident. Of course, you know the accident. The pilot was Hall of Fame pitcher Roy Halladay, who played for the Toronto Blue Jays and the Philadelphia Phillies. He retired in 2013 and was elevated to the Hall of Fame after his death. Halladay came from an aviation family. His father was a professional pilot who taught his son to fly. At the time of the accident, Halladay had 721 hours, a private certificate with single and multi-engine land ratings, and presumably sport pilot seaplane privileges for the A5. The accident occurred on November 7, 2017, on a day when there were 2 other fatal general aviation crashes, which is to say, par for the course. The investigation was unusually detailed, probably because it involved a high-profile celebrity. Because the A5 has a rudimentary flight data recorder and the engine management unit also records data, the NTSB had plenty to chew on. Fatal accident investigations don't always include extensive interviews with the family, the manufacturer, or instructors, but this one did. The accident flight was a short one. Halladay took off from Island Ford Lake, northwest of Tampa, and flew westbound toward the Gulf of Mexico at altitudes between 1,600 and 600 feet. Once he reached the Gulf, he descended to altitudes well under 100 feet, skimming the water at what the data showed was near zero GPS altitudes. According to witnesses, he executed at least 3 sharp pull-ups, the last one reaching an altitude of 358 feet. One witness said the airplane pitched up to near inverted, but may have rolled away before completing a loop. If this is true, it's hard to see it in the data. Following the last pull-up, the aircraft pitched down before striking the water wings level and pitched down at about 45 degrees. At that point, the witness called 911. Other witnesses confirmed that Halladay passed close by houses along the shore at low altitude. A couple of boats in the area approached the wreckage, but the pilot didn't survive the initial impact. Icon made much of the safety features it built into the airplane, including a ballistic parachute, a unique angle of attack indicator, and a blended incidence wing to reduce, but not entirely eliminate, the stall risk. The wing also has vortex generators to keep airflow stuck to the wing, which improves roll control through the stall. Okay, with all of that, is this just another stall or stall spin accident like the dozens we see every year? Well, it might be, but it might not be. The data is not necessarily that conclusive, and in the final seconds before impact, the indicated airspeed appears to be about 65 knots, the angle of attack about 16 degrees, and the load factor is 1.9 Gs. Depending on the bank angle, that would have been close to a stall, but witnesses said the wings were level at impact. It's possible the airplane was in and out of stall buffet as the pilot input aggressive pitch-up commands. It's also possible it was unstalled and just impacted the water due to altitude misjudgment. But frankly, given all else that was wrong on this flight related to aeronautical decision making, whether the airplane was stalled or not is a distinction without a difference. During the NTSB investigation, Roy Halladay's father revealed that he deemed his son to have excellent stick and rudder skills. No surprise there for a guy paid millions of bucks to put a 90 per hour outside pitch an inch from the edge of the strike zone. The senior Halladay also thought his son had good judgment, but he worried that he didn't appreciate the risks associated with aviation. Specifically, the senior Halladay cautioned his son about long flights over water or at night in single-engine airplanes. But while most of us accustomed to general aviation flying might find those risks a little jiggy, They're hardly crazy stupid for the well-prepared and well-trained pilot. But the maneuvers Halladay flew the day of his accident were close to the edge of the prudence envelope, if not beyond it. And so was what he did 2 weeks before the accident. The NTSB investigation revealed that Halladay flew his Icon under the Sunshine Skyway Bridge at a GPS altitude of 39 feet and a speed of 73 knots. He bragged about the flight on social media and even noted it in his logbook. Part of the fun of seaplanes and amphibians is flying low over the water, and that necessarily involves flying close to obstacles when landing or taking off. Safe is a relative concept here. Low flying can be done at acceptable risk, but that's not the same as safe. Icon had two come-to-the-mountain moments on this. When it was first promoting the airplane, it circulated a slick video showing a pair of A-flies flying low and dragging their wingtips in the water. It caught righteous grief for this and withdrew the video. Icon had a second rethink after the first fatal accident. That one involved a factory pilot who turned up a blind cove off a lake in California and collided with terrain, killing both aboard. After that accident, Icon tweaked its training to establish a 300-foot soft deck concept. Above 300 feet, it suggests banks up to 60 degrees and 30-degree pitch excursions are okay. Below that, the limits are 45 degrees of bank and 10 degrees of pitch. This is a perfectly sensible and easy to understand doctrine for anyone not capable of figuring it out on their own, and Halladay appeared to have ignored it. In flying under the bridge, he ignored another item plainly stated in Icon training doctrine: do not show off. In his interview with the NTSB, the senior Halladay said he was concerned that his son was abusing medications, and he warned that drugs and flying wouldn't go together. Tragically, his concerns proved well-founded. A post-accident toxicology report revealed a cocktail of impairing drugs in Halladay's blood, including zolpidem, a sleep aid, morphine for pain relief, an antidepressant called fluoxetine, also known as Prozac, and baclofen, a muscle relaxant. Hydromorphone, another opioid pain reliever, was also detected. He had also ingested amphetamine, a stimulant. 4 of these medications have sedative qualities, and the FAA says they should be used advisedly before flying or not at all. According to the docket, Halladay had entered substance abuse treatment at least once. Although he didn't need it to operate the A5, Halladay had an FAA first-class medical issued about 5 months before the accident. He reported no use of medications to the FAA, nor was his previous substance abuse counseling reported. Neither the FAA nor the NTSB offer any opinion on how or whether this pharmacological soup may have affected Halladay's pilot judgment and motor skills. But a menu of drugs that would have left most of us blotto seems unlikely to have been a performance enhancer. In my view, it's just one more data point in a pattern of faulty aeronautical decision-making. Survivable ADM, never mind good ADM, requires solid basic instincts and something else: restraint. Let's go back to the Sunshine Skyway Bridge for a moment. Your grandmother could fly an airplane under this bridge without hitting it. Good aeronautical decision-making means you know that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Ignoring that ultimately led to this crash, and no amount of good airplane design, clever angle of attack indicators, ballistic parachutes, or stall-resistant wings would have prevented that. Training aimed at breaking through a tendency toward bad judgment has never been a ringing success in aviation, and it certainly wasn't here. One last word. People who've been around addiction, and I have as an observer, know it's not a weakness but a disease. The victim deserves compassion and often intervention. But until the beast is slain, never the keys to an airplane. For AVweb, I'm Paul Bertorelli. Thanks for watching, and stay on the bubble.